This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
I'm KJ Wright from the Seattle Seahawks, and you're watching NORBFAM.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome again to another edition of Hawks Real Talk. I'm Norb Cowili, NORBCam, your host. Thanks for watching today. Happy holidays to all of you. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving weekend. And we get ready now in the month of December, getting ready for Christmas, the holidays, everything that whatever it is that you celebrate here in the month of December. But this also means it's the exciting time when teams in the NFL start to separate from those who are going to be going on an extended vacation to those who are going to be potentially moving into the postseason. And the Seahawks, amazingly enough, after this way this season has gone with the ups and downs, really going up and then really feeling down and then suddenly back up again, we find ourselves first place in the NFC West all alone. Who'd ever thought it? With the 49ers at the bottom of the barrel. Yet the difference between first to last is still only that much. So it is a very precarious situation with a division game coming up against the Arizona Cardinals this Sunday. The stakes couldn't be higher. But boy, would we want it any other way? I mean, this is just exciting, right? I mean, it feels like playoff football every single weekend, and we're not even close to the end of the year yet. We still got 5 more games to go. It's 5 more games, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more games to go. And so it is going to be super crucial, this particular game going against the Cardinals. Again, before we jump into it and you meet the members of the Hawks Real Talk panel, I just want to thank again the sponsor of this video, BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. All right, let's meet the gang. It's been a while. Here they are. What's up, fellas? We don't have everybody. We're missing one of the crew, but Nick LaBow is back out on a deserted tropical island again somewhere. That's all right. We'll have them next time. But, of course, we've got all the way from North Dakota, Sky-High Aviation. What's happened at Sky-High? It's been a while.
Oh, it has been a while, and, maybe we should just stop streaming so we start winning more often.
I know. If we lose on Sunday, we just have to pull the plug permanently.
Yeah.
That would be a bad omen.
We'll cancel the show. Nah, we're going to keep doing it. It's good to see you guys again. It's been a lot of fun. What we've been able to do this year, and I'm excited to get back into it. We've had a really exciting past 3 weeks, I'm not gonna lie, and looking to make that 4 as we head into the holiday season. So doing good, Norb.
Yeah, I can't complain. I mean, 3 straight, trying to make it 4. All of them nail biters, right? There hasn't been a game in here yet that has been one where you just felt like, oh, domination. It's always been by the skin of our teeth. Doesn't matter how good or bad the other team is, but getting the win, that's the key. Abel Pasley from the east side over in Bellevue, right? Bellevue, Washington?
Yeah,
No, I keep saying that. No, you're Kent Des Moines. That's Nick LaBow. You're back in my end. You're down in the Kent Des Moines area of Washington. Abel, how you doing, man?
I'm good. It's an awesome wave to be on. 3-game win streak. Hoping we can capitalize on that, keep our position in the NFC West. And, at this point, if you think about it, the easy way, control your own destiny. Just try and win as many more games as possible. Break it down simple. But I'm excited for this next week. Excited to break down some plays.
It is nice to be in control of our own destiny. I mean, theoretically, if we just win the games we should win and maybe steal 1 or 2 from some of these tough teams ahead, we could be sitting pretty come week 18. But I have a feeling it's going to be a nail nail-biting, white-knuckled ride up to the very last game, especially when the last game is another division rival that we haven't beaten yet. That, of course, is the Los Angeles Rams. So shout out real quick to the folks who are watching so far. Impulse Gaming was happening. We also got Matt Lance. Yes, we won. It was scary and ugly, I might add, but we did win, and that's all that really matters. Gridflow is in here. He thinks we're winning the West and then losing round one. One and done in his book. Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. Malou Alvarez, what's happening? Thanks for coming on here. Dio Brando as well. Hope he can beat the Packers and would like to see Grossi unhappy. That's, of course, Tom Grossi, the super fan. And also reigning, last year's NFL. No, he's still the reigning. He's the Packers fan of the year and the reigning NFL fan of the year for 2023. Congrats to him. And for those who don't know, the Seahawks did choose the 2024 fan of the year, and that is none other than the Kirkland Seahawkers president, Terry Fletcher, who I'm good friends with. I'm very happy for her. I got to see her get that award in person a few games ago. And in the super chat, we have Hello FR. Are you excited for the MCR in July? Favorite MCR song? What's MCR? I'm blanking on what the reference is. Guys, what's MCR?
Song? I mean, like Music City Radio?
MCR.
MCR. Maybe if you donate another. Maybe if you donate another $2 to tell us.
Donate so you can educate all of us on what you just said. And if anybody knows what the MCR is, My Chemical Romance? Is that what it is? Gridflow is answering that question? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not real up on My Chemical Romances, so
I don't know.
Well, there we go. Lena Dahl, my favorite and best moderator ever on this YouTube channel, says congrats on Coach and his wife in celebration of their new baby boy. Yes. He just talked about that in his press conference. That's pretty cool. I mean, could they have not timed that any more perfect to have? It's like he almost planned it. Oh, maybe they did plan it. I don't know. But he said, okay, honey, we've got this really important win streak going on and a tough game against Cardinals. So when you deliver our child, can you make sure it's not on Friday? We've got to do it early in the week, preferably like Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. That'd be good.
That discipline.
Mondays.
It's that attention to detail.
She had it on the day off. Tuesday's the day off. I mean, he couldn't have planned it any more perfect. So congratulations to the coach in all sincerity. A couple more here. Just Joe Kagan. Seahawks got Nwosu back for the game this week, so that's good for us. Makes us stronger. I've been counting the days for that to happen. What's that?
I'm just a chill guy.
You're just a chill guy. And finally, Gridflow clarifies that they are a popular emo band in the 2000s. Okay, I never got into My Chemical Romance, so sorry. Not an MCR dude, but it doesn't mean I don't like them either. Okay, let's get a few... Just, again, the 2-minute breakdown of your guys' thoughts on what we watched on Sunday. I mean, we haven't talked in like 3 weeks, so we really have kind of maybe just an overall view of just how the last 3 games have gone and just kind of do a general summary. You don't have to get into too much detail of every single game, but just kind of where you feel about where the Hawks are now from when the last time we all talked, which was before the win streak. We had just lost a terrible game to the Rams, and it felt like our season was going down the toilet. But here we are in a completely different space. So let's start with you, Abel. What's your feeling on where the team is right now? How good do you feel about the way the team looks at this point?
Yeah, I'll make sure to get to that. But first, the summary of the game, I have it in one sentence. Ugly win keeps Hawks in first. How did they do it? That's the title of the stream, and that fits it pretty well. But how I'm feeling about this team is a lot of mixed emotions. We clearly don't see any, natural dominance over any other teams, at least not expressed in the game. I think one thing we did well this past Sunday was being able to kind of, be gritty, find the ways that we can win, make big plays, and recover from lost momentum. And, we hung in there. Whenever they would make some crazy, explosive play, we would fight back. And that's one thing this team does well. So I think right now my feeling of the team is like we have a good roster and we have crazy amounts of potential. We just can't be playing down on teams, and we can't be playing close games. We got to be at least getting some good leads up before things get super tight in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary, I'd say, where things are. When you said gritty, I thought you were talking about the gritty.
Oh, gosh. Don't worry about it.
No, but they do have a lot of grit. They showed a lot of grit against the Jets because they could have easily folded like a cheap suit or a bad tent, and yet they found a way to rise up and fight back when it just looked like they were about to fall into the abyss, came back and won that game, shut the Jets down after that last touchdown on the kick return for a touchdown. They were scoreless after that. The defense really rose up, and the offense did enough to overcome all their issues. So how about you, Sky-High Jose? What you got as far as your take on where the team is this point now after all what we've been through?
I think this team is still finding itself, but we're starting to show a little bit more of our true colors. I think, on the defensive side, we're starting to find our groove. I read an article that said Mike McDonald is in his bag. Norb, you may not know what that means, but I'm sure a lot of people do. He's in his bag, essentially, yeah.
I know what that means.
Oh, you know what it means. Okay. I see you. But again, the defense really controlled this game, despite and has controlled the previous 3 games. In fact, if even the Rams game, count 4, you started to see a lot more positive inputs. And I think that this defensive scheme is starting to stick. And I think it's going to continue to get better going forward. And I think Mike McDonald's going to find new ways to be a better gambler and attack. And to just make this defense into a really aggressive defense that a lot of offenses are going to fear. As for the offense, we started off really, really hot, and then now we've kind of just been, riding the wave of, okay, let's just do just enough to get the win. And I think, Ryan Grubb over the past, 6 weeks has really tried to get the run game going, which has semi-worked. He's tried to pair it with play action, although we're kind of running play action looks that we don't. We're kind of running play action off looks that we don't actually run the ball in, so it makes it easier for the defense. But again, we have to be patient with this offense. We're a really good offense with the terrible offense. We're really good offensive skill. We have really good offensive skill players, but a terrible offensive line, and then a first-year coordinator who has never had any NFL experience. So it's going to take some time. It's going to take more time than people think. But obviously, he's got a few weeks left to really shape things up. And I heard some talk around him being a one and done type guy because the inexperience. But I think we just need to continue to be patient. I would like to see a little bit more creativity. I like how we ran the play action. I like how the run game. We tried to commit to the run game this weekend, and it sort of worked. But I would just. There needs to be more of a flow. There needs to be more of it's just tough to say because of the inexperience of our play caller. It's really not at the fault of the offense other than the offensive line, obviously, but the inexperience of Ryan Grubb has caused a good amount of these problems. And obviously, we're hoping that it continues to get better, and I think it will.
Yeah, quick shout out to people in the with the super chat says, "Yeah, I know y'all went to UW. Thoughts on the Huskies? I don't want to get too sidetracked because technically, well, on this panel, I'm the only one who went to the Huskies, was a Husky, I should say, and Sky-High's in North Dakota, and well, maybe Abel's in a few years might be going to the UW. We'll see. It sounds like it's possibly in the cars. But quick thought on the Huskies. Well, it's been an okay season given
rebuilding.
Rebuild to follow up the national championship. This team this year was not even close to what they had last year. So many guys leaving, the coaches leaving. So felt like a new team. They were starting kind of over. But I just say they much like the Seahawks need a more in the offensive line as well. They went from like best offensive line in the country to like a shell of what it used to be. But their quarterback DeMond Williams is very promising for a true freshman. So they have an exciting future over there. All right, but back to the Seahawks. So there's a lot of comments in here saying, we're just lucky, the division's bad, this and that. Well, I think every team in the NFL needs a little bit of luck. Even the best teams. Look at the Thanksgiving games and the games this weekend, right? I mean, the Chiefs They have been lucky all freaking year. They are the luckiest first-place team that should have lost at least 3 or 4 of their games, including the last one. The worst team in the AFC almost beat them if they didn't bungle the last-minute thing. Same thing with Chicago bungling their Thanksgiving game. They could have beaten the top Detroit Lions. So talk about luck. Those guys, well, I don't know. Maybe it's just bad luck follows bad teams. But in our case, well, we've had a lot of bad luck, but we've had a lot of things that fell our way, particularly this last game. So, well, you got to kind of take the luck as you get it. But I'd say in terms of where our Seahawks really stand right now, this leads to the question you've already been kind of talking about, Sky-High, is that I feel like this team is exactly where the record says that it is. It's exactly where I predicted they would be. They didn't win the same exact games that I thought they'd win or lose, but their record is exactly the record I had them having right at this point of the season. So I have to say I'm Nostradamus like in my predictions. What's that?
Good job. Proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. But here's what I didn't expect, though. I expected the defense was going to eventually come around because it took this long or so when he went to the Ravens and turned their defense from a lower-tier defense to one of the top 10. And if you look at the numbers, it is followed the exact same suit. We were one of the worst defenses, in the first part of the season. And if you look at the last 4 games or so, we are tops in practically every category, from pass defense scoring as well as yards. So that part's coming around. The offense, though, we all know that's an issue. And my biggest thing for what's going to stop the Seahawks from either winning the division and going to the playoffs or succeeding in the playoffs and not being one and done is kind of the obvious thing. And it is not Geno Smith, much as people love to hate and blame him for it. We don't have a running game. And I want to ask you guys, A, can the Seahawks go anywhere with this running game being what it is? And 2, if that's not the case, how do we fix it? Because I don't know what we do. We've already gone through, we could keep blaming the offensive line, but it's not the same 5 guys that are causing the problems. We've switched our center. We've had 3 different guards on the right side, and we've got Abe Lucas back after playing around with 2 different tackles. So we really had like almost a 9-10 person combination at offensive line, and yet, if anything, we're actually running the ball worse. Kent Walker has had like less than 60 yards in the last 3 games. It's almost going the wrong direction. So I asked you guys, what's the solution here? Because I don't know. I'm stumped. I have solutions for the passing game. I think there's things we can do there. But the run game, I really don't know. Abel, if you were suddenly brought in as a consultant, they said, Abel, we're kind of at our wits' end here at the Seahawks organization, and we heard you have the magic formula for fixing our run game. So, Abel, we're going to pay you some big bucks to come in, and what do we need to do, Abel? What's the solution? We got to fix this run game, and you're the one to help figure it out. What's the key? What do you say?
Well, there's a lot of keys. But I think with our running back in our situation right now, we're not using him, we're not using him how he's supposed to be used. Kenneth Walker is the type of guy that will bounce out of 3 tackles, 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and just get 1 yard. But even though that's an amazing feat for any running back, it doesn't matter if you're only getting 1 yard, you know what I mean? Obviously, if he has that firepower, we could use that upfield, and we could put together great drives. We all know how effective and important a good running game is, right? We know that if you have a good running game, you can be down by 1 in the 4th quarter with 5 minutes left, go down the field, get into field goal range, and drain all the clock, get a game-winning field goal. That's how much it can just change games dramatically. But how we do that is, you got to find holes for Kenneth Walker. You got to get him into gaps, you got to give him the outside, and you just got to block a little bit for him. We know how good he can be in the open field. We know how good he can be through. He can find his own hole, If you just give him a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of flexibility, then he'll be such a weapon for your offense, right? So you can't just be pounding it up the middle with the jumbo package. That's not how that running back does his running.
Well, and you said we need to open up some holes, and I've said the same thing. We've got to improve the blocking, but how do we do it when it's the same guys that we've had and we're not getting anybody new in here. So can we scheme it up? Can we do something different? Sky-High Aviation, Jose. Do you have any ideas?
Well,
if you were brought in to consult and fix this
game? I think this week I saw some positive signs from the running game. I'm not gonna lie. I thought we were somewhat committed to it. I thought we opened up some decent gaps. Right now, what I'm looking at and what I see in the film is a lack of the lack of an ability to block in the running game. Guys aren't able to hold their blocks. They're missing their blocks. And like Abel said, we're running these big 12, 13 personnel style runs, or we're having a tight end come and pull back block, and he misses the block. It makes it harder to run the ball when you don't have an effective passing game, which an effective play action passing game, which we kind of showed a little bit of against this Jets team. We kind of ran some, we got a little bit of success with Kenneth Walker, then we drop back play action pass, and then we run the ball again. You keep that defense on their heels. But I think
isn't the idea? Sorry to interrupt, but isn't it the idea of the play action passing game is that you establish that you can run the football, so that the defense has to respect the run, and that's when the play action fake works, right? So the run has to be successful first before play action is successful, is it not?
A little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we saw a couple of years ago the Seahawks. They had this crazy 6-0 start, and this was because for a full decade the Seahawks were known for running the ball, and we would get this crazy run game. We get an established 100-yard a game, run type of run game, and teams would expect that. So when you do a play action pass, deep ball or post corner or whatever it is, you would have big explosive plays. And that's what the Seahawks do. That was our style, and that was our kind of model for a while. But we've seen it kind of start to, divide with Mike McDonald coming in. So Pete Carroll used it as he would establish the run game and then use the play action for explosive plays.
All right, Jose, care to respond? Sorry, I interrupted you on that one.
There's a clear problem with our running game, and that's our offensive lineman can't block. And we've tried to change this game. I can tell multiple times. We started the season running a lot of shotgun running plays. Then over the last few weeks, we switched to under center and tight end pulling blocks. And when your offensive line cannot block, especially your guards, and Abe Lucas, I kind of want to cut him some slack because he's only been back for a few weeks. He hasn't played much professional football over the past 2 years. But when that offensive line is struggling to get off that first block, Ola Toomey hasn't been great. He's been good in pass protection, but he's not been good at all in the run game. It just causes, it restricts Ryan Grubb's ability to get creative with the running game because there's an inability to block. We saw this week he tried to incorporate some pitches, some misdirection. It didn't work. It didn't work because our guys can't even block off a simple zone with a tight end pulling down off the left side. It's not possible because it has to do with the personnel issue. But I think right now the run game is just going to be what it is. I think maybe there are chances that we could really get some big days out of our running backs. Yeah. But, if it were up to me, I'd like to see a lot more under center runs with Charbonnet. I'd like to see a healthier mix of under center and shotgun with Ken Walker. But that's about it. That's about all you can do with this offensive line. That's it. I'm not joking. This is literally all you can really do to fix it. You can't get more creative. We've tried to get creative with it. It doesn't work. It's kind of like what Mike McDonald said a few weeks ago. We kind of got to cut our losses. Ryan Grubb's saying, I've tried everything. This isn't working. It's not working. We're going to stick with it. We're going to try and run the ball. And we've had some success doing it, right? But in the end, it's nothing is going to straightforwardly improve until we hit, the off season and where we can really change things and try and improve them for the better.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because going into this year, I remember thinking, man, if we could just get Charbonnet and K9 healthy the whole season together, we're going to be dominant. And guess what? We've had them both healthy, and we've been anything but dominant. It just goes to show it doesn't matter who's in the backfield if your trenches aren't strong. And nothing's more indicative of how weak that is than what we saw in the Jets game. We've seen it many times, but how bad can you be on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1? I mean, I get PTSD. Every time it's 3rd and 1, I start already thinking, oh God, we're in trouble because we can't get it. It's like you see the Eagles, you see the Bills, you just know, oh, we got this. You can line up and know it's coming, and there's nothing you can do about it. Seattle lines up, and you just know we're going either lose a yard, we're not going forward, and to have 8 chances inside the 40-yard line against the Jets, who actually are a pretty good defense. We should knock them because they're actually a pretty good defense, just a bad team. But still, no team should not ever score when it's 1st and goal from the 1. I mean, that is just inexcusable. And unfortunately, it's the reality, and it's probably going to be the cost of why we can't succeed. Abel, you got something to say?
Okay. I've been preaching this since I don't know how long, but it seems like we're immune to making any play happen when we need 2 or less yards. It's ridiculous. And the thing is, every Seahawks fan that, watches the games this year would agree with me. Okay? It's so annoying. You'll have 1 yard, 2 yards to go, and you'll go, oh, right, we don't have a playbook. You'll either go inside with K9 or you go outside, but going on an outside stretch at the 1 yard line doesn't work when your O-linemen don't have their assignments in a jumbo package. It just doesn't work. And we've seen a lot of plays that work when we don't need 3 yards, but would work, and we just don't use them. We have that JSN screen that constantly gets like 50 yards and 60 yards per play.
The tunnel screen?
Yeah. We don't use that. We don't use the screen. We don't use an out route. I'm just like, at least try and mix it up, We won't be mad if you try something new that could work, It's just so upsetting seeing them do it up the middle, jumbo package. It's so frustrating.
So predictable. And I've seen every time they line up in that jumbo package with a fullback, I'm going, it's not going to work. It never works. and sure enough, they lose like a yard or 2. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just keep thinking, why don't they just sneak it? Just do like what the Eagles do. You line them up, you sneaks, you get the guy in the back to push him forward. Worse, you're going to get at least a half a yard. So if you get half a yard 3 times, well, you're in the end zone. So I don't know. We haven't tried that. We haven't seen Geno do many sneaks. I think he's snuck some, but anyway, it's to a point where it's just like, man, I can see Grubb just head bloodied from just pounding it on a brick wall. So I don't know what you guys think. Watching, would love to see your comments on what you think the Seahawks could do to fix their running game. But I think there does come to a point where you just kind of go, this is what we got. I mean, we'll just keep trying, but you can only get so creative. It's not like the passing game where you can come up with all kinds of exotic fakes and routes and this and that. At some point, when you just need to get across the line, it's your guys against theirs, and you got to push them further than they push you. And if they're pushing you back, what can the best running back in the world do? They can't. If the guy's getting hit in the backfield, I don't care if it's Derrick Henry or whatever. I mean, if you're getting tackled in the backfield, even Marshawn Lynch would not succeed with this line. Sadly, which is what sucks about our prospects for the playoffs and maybe winning this division. The running game will be the death of it, is my fear, unless they can somehow turn things around. So I don't know if you guys have any last thoughts, but I'm ready to go into these play breakdowns. I think
the defense can push us through. I think the confidence is extremely high on this defense. I think we can push.
The defense has shown now that they can keep us in games. I mean, the fact again that they've kept. If you don't look at the total score and just look at the defensive scoring, they've kept the last 4 opponents under 20 points for the last 4 games. That's impressive given the teams that we have played against. The Cardinals, which we're going to see them on Sunday again. Cardinals were flying high, averaging 20-something points and 130, 140 yards a game. We shut those guys down big time. 49ers, right? 49ers, we did just enough to beat those guys. Should have shut down the Rams and should have beaten them, but we did control that as well for the most part. So the defense is good enough. The defense is definitely better than good enough, but the offense is how much they can overcome their deficiencies is the question. And again, it's not Geno because, it's again, I think that if you can't run and you can't have any semblance of a running game, doesn't matter who you have there in at quarterback, because every one of these great teams we're talking about all have running games to complement what they're doing, whether it's the Ravens, the Eagles, the Bills. They all got great quarterbacks, but they've got great running backs to go with them. Saquon Barkley, I mean, that dude, King Henry, right? They've got great quarterbacks, but they have these running backs who are playing even better. Take those guys away or take their offensive line away and switch it, it's a whole different story. Anyway, in my opinion. So
I was gonna agree with Sky High. If we do win the division, it's gonna be our defense, dragging us through the finish. But as long as we can win games, what it takes,
Yeah. Well, are we ready to do some play dissecting? Sky-High Aviation is, as we always do when we do this show, he goes through, picks a few plays of the past. Well, normally we do a week before, but I think there might be a few since we've not done this in a few weeks. It kind of breaks some things down, see what they've been doing, what the tendencies are, what's working, what's not working. Are you ready to do this?
Yeah, Jose? Sure, why not? Let's go ahead and go.
Let's do it. Let's jump into the plays.
Let me go ahead and share my screen. That's the big one.
And just so you guys know what's coming up, after we do the plays, we will be doing some score predictions. I'm going to actually play back the predictions of the last time we did it, which was actually before the 49ers win. So, and we'll make
by the way, Nick LaBow did drop in a few minutes ago, dropped a score prediction. So we'll have him up as well. All right,
Excellent.
Let's go ahead.
All right,
get things started. Let's go ahead and get things started. We talked about, I think it was mentioned a few weeks ago after we covered the Niners game, the Niners first Niners game, the TNF game, or before we talked to the Niners game, we talked about how teams have been trying to take advantage of us on the outside, especially outside these hash marks, right? And so this is a real typical. So this is actually a really similar formation to what we would usually run as an offense. This would essentially be our our DK and our receivers out here, and the tight end's going to come and pull right here, right? And once that strength comes over to this side, right? Once you have the strength, our linebackers are going to do the right thing, right? They're going to shift while we're sitting with this 2 deep safety man. We're really, I think in this position we look really well to really cover this if this is a run play, as long as our safety also chooses the correct gap. So Jets tried really, speaking of creativity, the Jets really tried to be creative and getting the run game going. They get that tight end to pull, something similar to what we do, pitch it to Breece Hall, right? And immediately Seattle essentially builds a wall here and cuts contain, right? Hall can cut to the outside, right? But if he cuts to the outside, he risks meeting Josh Jobe and Kobe Bryant, right? So he cuts back inside, right? The right side of the offensive line has done a good enough job, but what we've seen in the past with problems, especially with linebackers like Tyrell Dodson and I forget the other one, the guy who wore like the neck pad or whatever the heck it's called.
Jerome Baker.
Yes, Baker. They overcommit. So they slide way too far out here, thinking that he's going right to the outside and it's going to be contained, right? We're gonna essentially triangle him in here. That's not what happens. Hall cuts back. Ernest Jones, who I thought had a fantastic game today, stays home. He's probably the best natural talented tackler besides Devon Witherspoon, who's had a bit of an off year this year on this team. And he comes and he just makes a textbook tackle right there, gets the half tackle along with Boye Mafe. And we'll get a really good look at it here. Watch these linebackers. They shift their feet in communication with each other, and they're watching the ball the entire way, watching the running back's eyes. And all Ernest Jones needs to do is break down there, and he makes a nice textbook tackle right there for a short gain. And this is what was able to.
How great has Ernest Jones been as a pickup?
He's been super good. He's been super good to watch. And I think it's what we see now in our ability to stop this outside run game. This is kind of how we controlled the run game for the Jets all day, pretty much. So, any comments?
For sure.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well broken down. I'm excited to see the next play.
We'll go ahead and move on to the next play. You want any guess what this is, Norb?
Oh, this is the play of the game right here. This is, right? Isn't this the game that turned the tide?
I hope so.
Is this? No, I don't think this is.
Wait, no, that's not the down and distance. No, this is something else.
Right. So yeah, Mike McDonald is. I like to say he's one of the NFL's biggest gamblers. This is a third down and I believe third down and 7 here situation. Seattle's going to play these 2 high safeties up here, right? They're going to shade over these 2 wide receivers, right? This is just because look at this. It's pure Garrett Wilson, Davante Adams, right? You put those guys on paper, 2 of the best wide receivers in football, right? You have to essentially double team these guys, right? And you leave the tight end alone with Woolen, and you're right now showing blitz 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're showing a 5-man rush, a possible blitz, right? Working with a one-on-one with Joe here, but he's not working against the number 1 wide receiver. So automatically Seattle has the advantage, right? Automatically we have the advantage, but there's a dangerous part to this, right? Because if you bring Adams across, the risk not having the safety come there in time, right? So what's going to happen is, right, there's no linebackers here, right? We're showing blitz. We need to bring somebody out and be able to double team these 2 wide receivers at the same time. So here comes the genius of this defense. Mike McDonald showing blitz, right? You think, okay, we're going to get some one-on-ones. Maybe we're going to get an opportunity to throw it here. These guys are really going to be taken out of the equation, right? And what he's going to do instead is, okay, you guys think that you guys have the advantage here. You've got all this open space over here. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to plug that space by dropping by dropping the 2 guys who you'd never drop into coverage actually into coverage.
Oh, is this?
So what happens is Aaron Rodgers comes up the line. We've now switched to a one-on-one with Davante Adams here with Kobe Bryant still shading over both of them. And now we're showing a 6-man rush almost. 6-man rush. Okay, wait a minute. We might get a one-on-one opportunity here. There's going to be a lot of space off to this side. Pause. What happens is our 2 defensive tackles, our nose tackles, show rush, and again, they drop back. Drop back right away to plug those spaces. Rodgers thinking, okay, why not? Let's throw it over the middle, right? There's that space there. And instead, it's actually plugged up by what would be a linebacker and what is actually Leonard Williams.
So that is the play. Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I thought initially.
Starts rumbling down the sideline.
Play of the game. Changed everything right there.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all those Seahawks fans.
Yeah, I know. A lot of 12s in the stands. We show well in New York, I guess. Got a lot of history in this stadium. So
what's brilliant is how McDonald really used Leonard Williams to bait him in. He talked about this play here where normally, in the past we've dropped guys into coverage, linemen, but the difference was Leonard talked about it, is that he actually engaged the guard first and then dropped back. So that way Rodgers saw him, and as soon as he looked like he was engaging with him, he assumed he was out of the equation. And so as soon as he touched him, then he backed off, and Rodgers lost his focus on him. A brilliant move. But again, I think it just took a while for the defense to come to the point where they could do things like this.
And they're smart enough to know, and this is a smart enough play call to know that this isn't going to be a long developing play. It's going to be a quick throw, and that these guys aren't going to have to sit out in coverage and guard wide receivers or tight ends or follow these guys, right? They're going to drop back, and it's going to be a quick throw, and there's going to be a bang-bang play that occurs, right? So, yeah, this is, by far the play of the game. We'll get another look at it. You show that blitz, engages the center or the guard. At that point, once he got to the 50-yard line and he really clears number 78 there, down the sideline, touchdown. Kobe Bryant kind of tackles him by the neck.
He was just,
and that's it. There you go.
Point. I think it's funny how Rodgers didn't even try to make a run for it. He just gave up. He was like, "Ah, crap! I screwed up."
Fun fact about that pick: I think that was the first.
I think I know where you're going with it. The longest pick six by defensive. Is that where you're going? No, you got locked up there.
It might have been the longest pick six, but No, because I think I saw something that said Aaron Rodgers. That was like his first red zone pick six.
Oh, an Aaron Rodgers
was
stat.
also-
I know
yeah,
it's the
the-
longest pick
the
six by a
longest one that-
defensive
that had
lineman. But maybe the longest in Aaron Rodgers' career, 92. I mean, that you don't get much longer than that. Anyway, thing of beauty, saved the game for us, and he got Defensive Player of the Week, fitting. All right, what you got?
All right, we got play number 3. Single man situation, right? Jets showing big blitz, big possible blitz here. We've got our wide receiver spread out. They think they've got this played really well, right? You got your opportunities, you got your one-on-ones, you've got the matchups that you actually want. And, we see more and more often teams show blitz, but they actually back out or send one less man. Bring that up. Gino's looking at DK, who already has a step on Sauce Gardner the entire time. All our guys run their routes correctly. And, right, when you're keeping an even number of players on both sides, you're keeping that safety confined to the hash marks, right? Because you don't know where Gino's going to go with the ball. I mean, you could shade this side, but then in that case, Gino's going to go to JSN or hit Tyler on a curl here, right? So you're restricting that safety's movement to inside these hash marks, and that allows DK, who in this case wins against Sauce Gardner, and Gino, who just knows how to throw a perfect deep ball, drops it right in the bread basket, gets DK finally involved. Had a little bit of scare with him this game, but also notice the offensive line at the same time. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, nearly 3 seconds to get that ball out, and
Which is an eternity for Seattle.
Yeah, Charbonnet hits the chip. Abe Lucas comes off his first assignment just a bit late, but at the same time, it's plenty of time to get the ball to allow Gino to get the ball where he wants it to go. So there you go.
What's great about that play is Sauce Gardner actually had good coverage. He had no idea the ball was in the air. He didn't turn around. He didn't put a hand up or nothing. I don't think he ever saw it coming. DK did a good job of not showing that he was getting the ball because Sauce never looked back. It's pretty good play on both sides.
DBs are usually taught, like, if they're not facing the cube. Am I freezing?
Now you're muted, Norb. Look, we're having technical.
Oh, you were frozen, but you're good now, Abel. You're good now. Just a couple times you kind of got locked up.
I was going to say DB they're usually taught if they're not facing the QB, they're supposed to, and they're facing the wide receiver, their signal to, like, put a hand up or try and deflect it is when the wide receiver puts their hands out, and DK did not make it very, a big gesture.
Yeah.
Kind of just,
yeah, they call it late hands, or I think they call it late hands. So basically, don't show your hands or going for the ball till the very last second. Yeah, it's a good move. Good solid play by D. All right, here you go. Next play. Oh no, it's not this. Oh no, wait. Oh yeah, this is bad.
This was like awful. I honestly had no clue.
All right, so this is the dissecting the failure of the run game. All right, this I'm very curious about.
Honestly, I would have had Charbonnet here, and I would have just handed it off to him, and I would have just had everybody really just come up and smush block here and try and create a gap right through behind our best offensive lineman. But no, let's run what we call it's one of these out plays. We've done it before. Gino comes across, Jackson Smith. Really, the first read is JSN. Comes underneath. Noah Fant sits down. Maybe you get a quick throw opportunity. DK goes out to the corner, and Charbonnet goes out as well. The one thing that goes wrong with this play is, first of all, we should have pounded this into the end zone.
This is fourth down, isn't it? This is the fourth down.
So many tries. Here we go. Ready? Snap the ball. Run to the opposite side, right? This is going to be a really quick play. Nobody's open. And what you can't do on this play, especially when you've got a blitz coming from the Jets, is you can't cut back and stop. He's got all this space to run here and possibly, even throw it out of bounds, take the turnover, right? Or find somebody in this part of the end zone. Instead, Gino cuts back. He cuts back and he exposes himself to 3 defenders right then and there. Cuts back. He's got no speed. He's got no footing right then and there. And then at that point, he's like, "Oh shoot, I'm cooked. I gotta back away again." And he can't do that because now he's got to get completely motored up again to go all the way around. Tries to turn the corner, possibly get a throw off. Nope, now he's just got to protect it. I mean, that's a huge play. I don't understand why we call that on fourth down. I don't like those kinds of play calls, especially on a fourth down where you risk throwing it into a really tight zone, tight area. But rolling to the side and then cutting back, you can't do that. I understand it's worked in the past, and I get that he may be trying to put up, a proper jump ball to DK, but it's not going to work. Especially when
the worst thing about it? It's the fact that we would have pinned them down at their 1 yard line, Like, he did the one thing you're taught not to do. And I don't even hate the idea of the play call, rolling everyone out, because sometimes that can work. It's unique. It's not jumbo package. But, that's just not discipline.
Well, there's a lot I didn't like about that. Plus, he's rolling to the short side of the field. Yeah. So, he's got less real estate to work with. The receivers have less real estate. But then, I think once he made that turn and pivot, it was done. He was dead. Couldn't get rid of the football. But, he lost 20 yards. They got the ball like the 19 or 20-yard line. Yeah. I mean, there's so much wrong with that. Not just that last play. That was just like the nail in the coffin. But the 7 times before then that they couldn't get it in. I mean, can't win playoff games if you can't score at the 1 yard line or the 4 yard line. So hopefully they could figure something out. But painful to watch.
Yeah, this is some of the positives from the running game that I think we're trending towards. Obviously, this isn't Barner. This is Fant, who we've missed. I think he's a really good overall tight end, can catch the ball, can block the ball, or can block it. Excuse me. This is part of, a really good gap. And, we talk about how Ryan Grubb loves to pull that tight end and run to the weak side. Oops, he didn't run to the weak side. Never mind. I've got my plays mixed up. What actually happens is it's a direct under center through the A gap. Olatumi does a good job. We seal off. JSN hits his block. Ken Walker gets a good stiff arm in. But again, that's kind of like we talk about obvious running personnel, right? We've got Farrell Brown, Noah Fant in, and Jake Bobo. And like Bobo's only in rarely. He's rarely in for a pass. He's usually always in for a block. So it takes away from the cleverness and creativity of it, but they've only got 4 on the line compared to our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, more than they have. So it allows us to get it's going to allow Ken Walker, like I said, like Abel said, to get through that one gap, to get to the second level. And there you go, make a big play out of it.
Okay, also, we can just all agree, you give K9 at least part of an open field, there's so much potential for him to make some crazy long run. That's all you need. Just give him a little bit of space. He'll work his way.
Yeah, put him in the open field, one-on-one. He's usually going to win beat that first defender. It'll usually take at least 2, 3, 4 to bring him down. So, but that was a good sign. A quick question off the topic. So, of all the right guards we've seen 3. They rotate between 3. Which one do you like the best? Between Anthony Bradford, Christian Haynes, and now Satao Laumea. I don't know if any one stands out than the other. Are they all 3 versions of the same not-so-good guard? But obviously they don't like Christian Haynes enough to keep him in there. He keeps getting rotated in with somebody else.
Haynes, I was going to say, none of them really sound like... I feel like I've just heard the same name just kind of rotated every time, and I haven't seen much of a difference. Haynes, I didn't think did as bad as what's-his-face. But
Bradford?
Yeah, it's Bradford. But I think the third guy you said, I don't know how to pronounce his name. There you go.
Yes, Satao Laumea.
He's been okay.
I think they're all okay or subpar. Yeah. No one's winning that job straight up. Anyway, let's continue.
Which one's this play?
I would be shocked if you guys know what this
is. This isn't the 3rd and 1 for the touchdown. No, that's too far.
So yeah, this is the bad of the running game. This is what we don't like. And this is part of, we talked about the creativity. Ryan Grubb, he's going to bring that tight end in motion. We saw a lot of times we have a tight end in motion, right? That usually means the running back follows. Actually, it's a fake. Charbonnet comes around to block. And immediately, Abe Lucas's assignment is to go find that guy and pancake him. Same with Olatoumi. Do a good job. We've done a good job so far holding up, right? Walker's going to take the ball, go to the outside, way outside, crosses the lead blocker. What ends up actually happening is Olatoumi the linebacker outruns him, and Abe Lucas actually isn't able to find the linebacker in time to get the block. And Charbonnet isn't going to be able to cut back and get back to him. So it's pick your poison essentially with this. And Walker gets wrecked. Charbonnet doesn't even do a good job getting the hit. We'll get a better look, and I mean that's why we kind of. I mean that's part of the struggle of the run game, right? The failure to block.
Two guys unabated
can't block. Meanwhile, Charles Cross is out here, being the lead blocker, expecting guys to come behind him. Nothing's happening. So yes, that is.
It goes back to somebody earlier in the chat said, "Hey, why don't we run outside more?" Well. We've seen that. Loss of 5. Loss of 6. Yeah. Inside, outside, it's been hard. So tough going.
Another running play. This time an obvious run look.
Oh, this is the success. Is this the successful one?
Maybe. Run that in motion, right?
It feels like
everybody's thinking it's coming to K9. Or if it's Charbonnet, he's going around this edge right here. It actually runs right through that A gap, which, give credit to Samatoa or whatever his name is, Laumea. Good block there. Good block from Brown. Charbonnet sheds a tackle, gets into the end zone. So basic trap run off almost like a wing formation right there, right? Old school Mike Holmgren West Coast football. Boom. Touchdown.
It's funny, one of the guys, he didn't even really – I'm not sure who got the guy on the right, kind of blocking towards the right side. If you back it up a spell, I don't even know who that was. He didn't really block. He just sort of fell down and got in the way. But that was enough. Right there, that guy. Right? Is that right? Oh, it's
Abe Lucas.
That's Lucas. Yeah, Lucas. Yeah, he just kind of hit the floor, and the defender kind of just had to, step over him. Like someone leaving the groceries in the hallway. He had no choice. He just had to get around it, so –
Right.
That was good, though. I was 3rd and 1. That was a 3rd and 1 play that they actually not only got the down and distance, but they scored the touchdown. So it was nice that they actually got one for a change. So what a relief that was.
Correct. All right, this is our final play of the day. And Seattle once again showing blitz, another disguised blitz, right? And what ends up happening is, we drop back more than what they expect in the coverage, right, to help with our one-on-ones. But in reality, we drop back linebacker, but we actually bring Kobe Bryant, who's a safety. We bring the faster edges down so the pocket could collapse quicker on Rodgers. Wilson originally runs a post. He might actually have a step on Reek Woolen if he runs a post, but Rodgers throws the ball for the go ball in the corner of the end zone. So, and it results in a turnover on downs and a Seahawks win. And we'll see it here. They bring it. They drop back those two guys in the pass. Wilson shows post. Go ahead and show it again. Right there, right? But Rodgers by then has gotten rid of the ball, right? And if he throws that post, there's a chance that Garrett Wilson meets it at the correct spot. But in reality, the ball's going way over here. And
credit there to Kobe Bryant on the safety blitz, getting in the face of Rodgers, forcing him to rush that throw. I mean, that's kind of why he couldn't get comfortable. If you watch it on the left side of the screen, just right there.
There it is. He brings it home. Both him and Julian Love nearly get home on that blitz. Incomplete. This guy wants a flag. He's not going to get it.
And we all breathed a collective sigh of relief.
There it is.
Oh, well done, man. Yeah, that was Yeah, there was definitely some good amongst all the bad. You didn't show the ugly there, all those kick return fumbles,
No.
the kickoff coverage. Hopefully that's just an anomaly, because how often do you actually blame, how often does a special teams day go that bad? Usually you might have like a couple missed field goals or, one return, one fumble, but not multiple back-to-back like that. Hopefully that was just like the one they just got out of their system. Monsoon asks, do we know how our returner is going to be now that Chenault got released? Feel bad for the guy.
That's a
It's
good
like he has
question.
one bad
Me
day.
too.
What's funny is that they have him as in the Pro Bowl voting as one of the top kick returners, probably because of that 49ers touchdown return. And he's not even on the team anymore, even though he's getting all these Pro Bowl votes or something like that. So sadly, I'm sure he'll get picked up somewhere down the line. But, you drop that many balls, it's not good. So I think it's going to probably be Williams again, who also fumbled the ball, the first one. And then maybe Kenny McIntosh. I think McIntosh will probably be back there.
Chenault?
Oh, yeah, they waived him
Dropped
like
Chenault.
yesterday.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's no longer a Seahawk.
fumble?
He's the one who he fumbled. He fumbled and recovered one, and then he fumbled and lost one. So yeah, he had two fumbles back to back.
Wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
Yeah, it was
well, I know he
shocking.
had the fumbles. I just didn't know they crashed out.
yeah,
You know?
out of here.
Jeez.
Yeah, not a lot of tolerance, but there you go. Now look at this. 2010 Chargers from Gridflow had the number one offense and number one defense and missed the playoffs due to worse special teams. Well, our special teams haven't been that bad other than this game, right? We haven't really had any issues with the kick coverage. I feel maybe one punt. We had Williams had one punt fumble in the 49ers game. Other than that, it's been pretty good.
I told both of you guys, like, in the middle of the game, special teams was, like, poisoning us that day. And it's really important, Now people
Yeah, well, it
see,
is.
like, special teams can sometimes be overlooked, but it can change games,
Well, if you look at the entire game against the Jets, was not just the obvious ones, but the turnovers and the kick return for a touchdown, but the whole special teams was on display of how important they were, because not only were we giving up fumbles, not only did we give up a touchdown, the last touchdown that the Jets scored, Jason Myers on the flip side kicked two really crucial and hard field goals, a 43-yarder and a 57-yarder in the wind, in the cold. If he doesn't make those two kicks, we lose this game. And then we lost Michael Dixon. He couldn't even punt, which is why the Seahawks were going for it late on fourth down, because they had no punter. They were showing Jason Myers like practicing, but he hadn't punted in years. And so I think on the record, McDonald actually said, well, we couldn't punt because Michael Dixon couldn't go. I guess they could have drop kicked it, but they weren't thinking about that. So they ended up going for it more often than they did. So it kind of resulted in them being more aggressive, which resulted in the go-ahead touchdown. So in some ways, the Michael Dixon injury sort of helped the Seahawks win that game, ironically enough. But that was also due to a lot of Jets penalties and self-destruction. But we'll take it, right? Because it all kind of worked out in the end. But man, we cannot have another day like that. Hopefully, I haven't heard anything about Dixon and his back. Hopefully he will be back, because we need that dude. The dude was having an MVP type kicking year up until the point he got injured. So we'll see what happens. But well, let's shift gears. I mean, we just played the Cardinals not more than a week and a half ago, and we get to play them again, this time in Arizona. It's easy to just say, well, let's just do what we did last time. That worked pretty good. What do you guys think? What do you think is going to be different about this game since we just played them? What might be different, or what should we do differently coming up? Sky-High, we'll start with you.
I don't think we should really change much. I think we should try again, stick and try and get this run game going. Open up that play action pass, continue to improve and build upon what we're doing on offense. And not try and do too much. We've seen how we can take advantage of this Cardinals defense. And I think this game, again, relies on the defense and special teams. I think we got to be clean on special teams to win this game. And I think the defensive side, we got to, we can't get complacent. The Cardinals are going to try and do something different because their game plan last time didn't work. So we can't go with the same game plan going into this week, say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We have to be smart. We can't get complacent, and we have to stay disciplined And if we do things differently, we have to make sure that we're doing them the right way. And I think the defense, again, is the key to this game. Keeping Kyler Murray, in the pocket, getting to him, not allowing him to find his receivers, and stopping that run game. Obviously, we'll keep the Cardinals offense stalled, and on offense, continue to pound the rock and continue to do enough to win games. And I think we'll be fine. You're muted, Norb, again.
The rematch, Abel, what do you think? The rematch with the Cardinals this Sunday?
Well, I think maybe 5 syllables. Opportunities. Last time versus the Cardinals, defense did their job, and it was a close game for the most part, and that was just because of missed opportunities. If the offense can take care of business once again this week, and the offense can, take advantage of opportunities like we did versus Jets, then we have a good opportunity to come out with a win once again. I think that was a good example in the Jets game. It's funny. It's like we'll have a pretty clean game, not wacky, pretty good football, but we'll lose a lot of the opportunities that we were just given to on a plate. And then in some other games, it'll be very sloppy, very wacky, not normal football, but we take advantage of the opportunities when we get them. So I think it's, opportunities, capitalization, and just don't overthink it. Play football. We've been doing that the last few games. Let's keep it going.
Well said. It's keep it simple, right? Simple game. Well, simple if you can execute. So this, to me, I think the formula has been good so far. Like I said, for the last 4 games, the scoring, the yardage has been beneficial to us. So I think that will stay relatively in check. I don't think we'll keep Kyler Murray to 9 yards, and I don't think we'll keep James Conner to 49 yards. We might give up a little bit more because I'm sure they're going to try to run it much more decisively. But I think as long as they don't let them get breakaway runs where they're just going down the field and ripping it for 10, 15 yards at a pop, which we haven't really seen since the defense has gotten their stuff together. So I feel confident that we can still keep that in check. What we do need to improve on, though, is one thing we didn't do well was containing the tight end, McBride. He lit us up for over 100 yards. It seemed like that was the only thing the Cardinals could do, and we couldn't stop it. It was McBride for 10, McBride for 15, McBride across the middle, McBride on the outside, McBride in the flat. It was McBride all over the place. So I'm sure the Seahawks will key on him this time, but to the sacrifice of what? So it'll be interesting to see in the chess game how the Seahawks adjust to that and how the Cardinals adjust to us. And hopefully on the offensive side, like you guys said, we have to try to keep running the football. You can't give it up. But when it comes down to it, we've got to find a way to convert. We're going to find a 3rd and 1. It's going to come up again, and we have to convert those because you don't get those. You give the ball back to the opponent, and you miss out on a scoring opportunity, whatever it might be, and that could be the difference in the game. So that's it. Contain McBride, keep the runs tight, and convert on 3rd and 1. I never thought I'd say the key to a game would be converting 3rd and 1, but for the first time in my following the Seahawks, it is a point of contention and a point of focus. They've got to find a way to do it. And I've heard them say that, Byron Murphy, our first-round pick, they used to use him, I guess back in Texas, they used to use him as a fullback to plow guys through and lead the way for the running back. So I don't know. Would they go through that extreme and pull a defensive lineman to lead the way? Hey, whatever works to get it done. All right, we're going to go to score predictions in a moment. We're going to go all the way back to the 49ers game predictions when things weren't going so great. But before we do that, I'm going to do a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video again. This is BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Again, thank you again for their support of my channel. This is where you'd go if you were to join up here on BetUS. You get a chance to put your money where your mouth is. Right now, the Cardinals here getting 2.5. It was a 3-point odds in favor of the Cardinals, now down 2.5. So it's a 2.5-point favorites to Arizona, which really means we're like a half-point favorite because usually the home team gets a 3-point nudge. So 2.5, pretty much a pick'em game here. the over-under 44.5. So they're expecting about 22 points per side, give or take. So not exactly a light-em-up game, which we didn't have that either last time. So if you were to do that and you were to sign up and use that code right over there, the YouTube 150, you get 150% on your first match on your first deposit, and then 125% on the second and third deposits up to $2,000. And you just go there. If you want to pick the Seahawks as the underdog, you go over here, you put the amount which you want to wager, and that shows how much you would get, and you'd place your bet. Just make sure wherever you guys are at, you got to check and make sure that it's void. It's not void or prohibited, because not every state allows online gambling. And make sure you're legal gambling age and gamble responsibly. All right. With that being said, let's take a quick look again at what we thought was going to happen way back before the 49ers Seahawks game in San Francisco, where we were heavy underdogs. This is what we predicted was going to happen in that game.
I have Geno Smith bouncing back and having a great game. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, but 300 yards. I think DK Metcalf is going to come back with a bang. He's going to have 100 yards and a touchdown. K9 is going to go off for 100-plus yards, 1 touchdown. The Seahawks will win this football game. Big game-winning drive. Okay, we're going to be down by 5. 30 seconds left. Geno in the pocket, 40-yard line. He drops back, steps up in the pocket, throws it to DK Metcalf across the middle of the end zone, diving catch.
Where'd he go?
Well, all year I've been an optimist. They have more losses than they do wins, so I'm going to switch it up. I got 31-17 Niners.
I did not have the Seahawks beating the Niners all season, and I don't think that changes on Sunday. Despite injuries on their side, we are just still a little bit shy of being able to compete with them. So I see this being pretty ugly. In the end, it's going to be 31-17 49ers over the Seahawks.
You know me, I am the probably most delusional Seahawks fan. You will not see me pick against the Seahawks this week. We have to prove that we actually can beat a playoff contending team. I think this is going to be a signature win for Mike McDonald. It's going to be a low-scoring game. On defense, we need to stay disciplined in our caps, and you have to not make mistakes. If we can keep penalties down, turnovers down, if we can get to Brock Purdy, and if we can control the line of scrimmage, just maybe, we will win by a score of 26-23.
Our birthday boy himself, Tyler Parcher. Let's hear it.
I'm just saying 21-6 us.
Hell yeah! Boom.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. Man, Sky-High, you got the award for the most thumbs up dings in a prediction. That was pretty awesome. What was the final score of that game? 23-20?
I think it was 20. I think it was 20.
No.
I don't know. Let me check.
Wait, it was like 17-13, right?
No. It was 2017. Yeah, anyway, you got it pretty close, though. Sky-High had nailed it there. Abel, you had a little bit more optimistic version. I love the diving catch. I put the sound effect in there because I didn't really actually show that. That was pretty good. So I want to see what your guys' we got to do our predictions for this game. Let's just see what other people are saying here. We got Kalen Too Saucy says 30-25 or 30-17. Gridflow says 27-28 Cardinals win. Rouser says 2017 Cardinals. People says 44-47 Cardinals. Hello FR 33-30 Hawks. Zardy 17-10 Cardinals. Larzo, Hawks win in overtime, 21-17. I'm not sure how that would work in overtime, but okay. Finap, 16-6 Cards, the reverse of what last time's score was. And Alena, our moderator, says 13-10 Hawks in a lower scoring game. Gen X Nostalgia, 28-24 Hawks in a number that I don't usually like to say when it comes to the numbers in Glendale. 28-24 is not a number that you like to say in Glendale at all. All right, so let's start, as we always do, with this score prediction for this Arizona Cardinals game. We'll start with you, Abel.
Okay. Well, I'll also do a little bit of keys to the game here. You know, it's going to be pass rush, and it's going to be defense, okay? Last time we played the Cardinals, great job with both. If we contain Kyler Murray like we did again in that week, chef's kiss, you're going to win, okay? You contain Kyler Murray. You don't let McBride, catch all over you. You don't do any of those things, then you have a great chance of just controlling the game. If we have the opportunities, don't play it close. If you can pull out in this game, that's what we want. With all that being said, I do think the Seattle Seahawks will be, superior today. Or that will be
on Sunday.
And I think we'll get the pass game going. Yeah, on Sunday. I think Jason and DK Metcalf will have over 70 yards. Jason approaching that 1,000 mark. And I think K9 will also have a good game, 2 touchdowns. So I do have the Seattle Seahawks winning 28-24 in dramatic fashion. We stopped them on 4th down when they try and make a game-winning drive. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
You said 28-24 too?
He said 28-24 too.
Oh my gosh. No.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go.
Hey, at least we win. Whatever. No
All right. Let's go to the guy who's not here. I think I had to play the proper music for this.
Yeah.
Let's go to Nick LaBeau's prediction, who is somewhere on a deserted island somewhere.
There he is. He's on the deserted
You guys
island.
can hear that, right?
Nope.
No.
Oh, you can't? Oh, darn it. I can hear it. Sounds so good. Well, he says a 17-10 victory coming from the tropics somewhere. 17-10 Seahawks with the nice 1-touchdown win. All right, we'll take that. All right, I guess that goes to me then. All right, I'm not going to get too dramatic. I don't know. I leave that to other people to add the drama. But I'll go back to my keys. The Seahawks have the key to beating the Cardinals because they did it just not even 2 weeks ago. They got to contain Kyler Murray. They've got to minimize the yards from James Conner. He's going to get his. Just don't give him too many. Keep the yards under 100 for him. If we can keep the both of them around 100 or less, that would be fantastic. And find a way to minimize the damage from McBride, that tight end who was just carving us up last time. If we can find a way to stop that tight end from doing the damage he did last time, I think we'll be in good shape. And then we just got to do all the other stuff that worked well last time. Run just enough, convert just enough, don't turn the ball over. Special teams just have to not make mistakes and execute. It's a simple game. We just got to do those few things, and we got this. Our defense has arrived. I really believe our defense has arrived, and they just got to keep doing what they're doing, play disciplined. So I think the Seahawks win this by a score of 27-24. Field goal victory. There we go. All right, Sky-High, you ready? You ready for yours? I'm just curious if this could be dramatic or regular.
I think you're going to be disappointed. I'd like to keep the winning ways. The dramatic has caused us to lose, so we'll keep the winning. We'll keep the winning ways with a win on Sunday. I think this Arizona defense they're going to have to control. They're going to try and control the offense, try and limit our offense. We have to be explosive of offense. We have to control the side of the ball. We can beat this team defensively. I know it. I know our defense is good. It's all in the offense this time. I know I said it was on the defense and special teams, but it's not the defense. If the defense can carry us through this game, the offense has to do their part. They were limited greatly against that game in Arizona, against the Arizona Cardinals 2 weeks ago. We have to do better. We have to get more points because this Cardinals team is not going to come out and be flat like they did a few weeks ago. They're going to be a little bit better, albeit I think we're going to get the win. But if we can control the line of scrimmage, if we can run the football, if we can throw effectively down the field, longer passes down the field, give our guys one-on-one opportunities, get to Kyler Murray, and have our linebackers continue to play great, which they have these past 3 weeks, which sets up our secondary to play well, and have a good game with special teams, knock on wood. I think that we have a good shot to win this game by the score of 19-13.
Wow, another low-scoring game.
We'll have a
unlike the last time
safety
we met.
trickled in there somewhere.
Well, as long as we come out ahead. And one thing that we didn't talk too much about, we touched a little bit on it, but the other thing is, for the Seahawks, we do have a Uchenna Nwosu, that unicorn of a player that we've barely seen this year. We're getting him like we're just suddenly getting a free player out of nowhere. And he was one of the best players we've had and have been saying he was the key to this defensive line, and we're already playing well without him. And then we get Uchenna Nwosu back. So just one more little extra chess piece that we get to add in this game that we didn't have last time. So that will also help our cause as well. So let's just see what other scores we have that were coming in here. Let's see. Gridflow says, most teams split. That's why I picked the Cardinals. Boo. Hey, we got swept a lot last year.
6-6
tie. No, that's
going on.
Oh, because so many bad things happen in Arizona. A 6-6 tie is one of those too.
That game was so bad.
So bad. Gridflow, he's too young to have bad memories. Hey, come on now.
Dude, you act like I'm not a Seahawks fan. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh, my
Man,
days.
don't judge the book by its cover, man.
I know.
Come on, man. Firepower 129, 28-24 cards. There they go. That 28-24 number. Gino pick at the end while driving to win. I think this guy's watched too many Super Bowl 49 replays. 50-55 Hawks. That ain't happening. You can run this game 50 times and we'll never get that score unless we ran it 50 times in a row and everybody was basically like dead, so everyone just ran free. That score ain't happening. Shannon Sharp says 1914.
Let's go.
Shannon.
No,
hey,
Unk, that's the wrong one, Unk. You picked the wrong team, Unk. Come on.
I know. Come on. Stephen A. Smith, 25-20. Well, we got all the stars coming out tonight. Skip Bayless says 17-19. Should be 19-17 Hawks. Look at it. LeBron James says 34-31 Cars. What? LeBron, you don't know what you're talking about. Darth Vader, 22-19 Cardinals. What the heck? Gen X is down. Any updates on the Dixon injury? I have not seen a thing. I think we're just all waiting to see what the injury report starts to say come tomorrow.
They're optimistic.
Victoria U.S. 30-27 Hawks. Okay. And then finally, Kalen Too Saucy. We are going to beat the Cards. They are not that good. We still own them. All right. Well, they are not doing well. Ever since they had their bye, things have not been going great for those guys. So kind of opposite of us. Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. I think that's it. Any final notes, guys, before we wrap up this show? I think we've said everything that needs to be said. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys. First of all, thank you to Sky-High Aviation, Jose, all the way from North Dakota to take the time to do this show. Thank you, my friend, and to pick out the plays and diagnose them. Abel, of course, for coming out and making the time. I know you had a little tight schedule, so thank you for carving out a bit of your night to do this again. Appreciate it. And, of course, to our viewers out there, thank you for coming in and watching. For those of you who chatted and participated and super chatted, really appreciate your support as well. So as we wrap things up, just remember again that this program is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Again, use that code YouTube150 to get that 150% sign up bonus matching on your deposit, 125% on your next two. Just make sure you check the gambling laws in your state and gamble responsibly if you're going to do so. All right, let's go kick that intro one more time. Here we go. Seahawks, baby. Let's take down the Cardinals one more time. Let's sweep them here in 2024. Let's do it.
Go
Hawks!
Let's go!
Go Hawks, baby. Woo! We out of here.